My mom has started getting into lectures about filial piety and stuff. How do I tell her to stop watching those things so much and stop being suspicious of her own child? Posted by you/deleted. The story is that since I was little, I lived in a remote area far from the city. When I grew up, I looked for work in the city Surabaya. I couldn't go home often because it was far, and I couldn't use a private vehicle. Using public transportation cost 300,000 rupiah each way, so I went home once every 2 weeks. What annoyed me was the sermon my mom liked to listen to. I wanted to yell hi at the cleric. "Preacher," he said, "a child who only visits their parents once a week is ungrateful." My mom was increasingly influenced and brainwashed by those words. Even though I always visit regularly and give half of my salary, etc., what the cleric wanted in his sermon was that we, as children, must not disobey our parents by visiting them every day, even though the distance between Jakarta and Surabaya is far. We must not work too hard and must spend a lot of time at home. But we must always give money because Providence is already taken care of, she said. If you don't think logically, just sit at home and fortune will come. You can't work. You can't look for work. But you must have an income. Do you think fortune will come just by sitting at home and praying? Bro, imagine if I had to commute from home to the office every day. It would cost me $6. Oh, okay. And I'd be in the red. The only jobs available where I live are farming or construction work. I don't mean to disparage those jobs. The point is, I'm a girl with a weak constitution. I'm often sick. I'm confused about what to do so my mom doesn't overthink things like that. My mother, always worries about her children leaving her. Where am I supposed to find a job to support myself? She doesn't work anymore, so who's going to feed us, God? I've even thought about not getting married because I can't handle being part of the sandwich generation. When I'm old, maybe I'll just invest in living in a nursing home. Honestly, I'm getting so frustrated with these religious leaders who keep telling parents that children who work are disobedient. I'm so confused. They even say that children must always take care of and respect their parents, even if they're bad parents. Oh God, I'm so tired of being a disobedient and unrighteous child like me. Topslaw's relevant comment. Commenter 1. Just like this. I also want to always see Mom, but I'm also having a hard time. Please pray for me to have lots of blessings and become rich quickly, so I can see Mom often. That's just how life is nowadays. You have to pray a lot and work hard. I once heard a lecture where the Prophet Muhammad said, "Seeking halal sustenance is obligatory for every Muslim." The Brani. Pray for me, Mom, inshallah. If the whole family prays, it will be easier to be granted. Turn threats into strength. Luckily, I studied at an Islamic boarding school, so I'm quite knowledgeable about things like this. Op response. Actually, I've said this before, but my mom thinks I can work from home. The problem is, my office wants someone who can be on site. They allowed WFH during COVID, and my mom thinks I can keep working from home. Even though I've said I can't do that and it's not that simple. I think my mom has trauma after my dad left us. I want to take her to a psychologist. But I can't because she thinks that seeing a psychiatrist means you're mentally ill. Oh no, I might be labeled as even more disobedient. Later. Commenter 1 response. Okay, now the story is more complete. Actually, I also experienced many parents who are unwilling to see their children pursue a career outside the city. Fortunately, in my case, we were able to have a long conversation, so I'm still considered lucky. Sometimes parents take shortcuts with lectures and such. My advice is to communicate more because your situation requires you to work outside the city. The problem is that parents think they can work from home and other things, and there's no other way but to talk to them about it. Yes, I know that not everyone can talk to their parents, but if you cut off communication and expect all your problems to disappear, that's not possible either. Good luck to you, and I hope everything goes well. Commenter 2. I also have problems like OP, just not as extreme as OP. My advice is this. If my mother wants to consider me a disobedient child, then so be it. If my mother wants to pray for me to be cursed, then so be it. Even though my mother's prayers are certain, but let God be the judge because God never sleeps. What I'm doing is halal and sincere. I have to save money so that one day I can become a house husband who has the responsibility of supporting my family. It's impossible for me to always be under my mother's thumb. And I forgot what she said after that because I was already fed up and tired of arguing. I only heard it from my sister. Mom said yesterday that if you want to have children, try for a girl. Boys just cause trouble. Op response. My mom would probably cry right away, sis. Maybe if it's really urgent, you could try it. Even though I know the consequence would be getting ostracized from the extended family. Commenter 2. Response. Remember, bro, the bond of brotherhood is stronger than the bond of blood, so just relax. Besides, it's better to be ostracized but rarely see them, rather than seeing them every day, but being constantly belittled because you're close to your mom. Commenter 3. Usually, this kind of thing starts with the parents, right? Like coping mechanisms? Or trying to justify why you have to visit every week, day. Like searching for punishment for children who don't like visiting their grandparents on Google or YouTube. There's a low chance you'll randomly find that content. Have you tried talking to your mom? Explain your income versus outcome and that it's the circumstances that limit your ability to visit her, not yourself. Op response. Yes, I've talked about it. Sometimes I understand, but eventually it flares up again. I know she had trauma after her father passed away. I've offered to take her to a psychologist, but she refuses. She even says, Mom isn't crazy. Commenter 4. This is also a dilemma in my family. It seems like there's no mutual understanding between parents and children. The child actually wants to come home, but there are still many obstacles in the place where they're living. They're even called disobedient. This is why. It just creates antipathy. On the other hand, the preacher also casually judges them as disobedient, even though each person's context, problem is different. It's easy to generalize like that. What's worse is that the parents listen to the sermon and immediately agree with things like this. They don't see, feel the child's problems, even though the child who is away from home also has to pay for transportation costs. Every month, the choice is between saving money or paying installments. Suggestion: as much as possible, discuss this openly between the child and the parents. Hopefully, a solution can be found. Op response. Yes, because no matter what, I still have to work. Sometimes I end up comparing, even though I know it's not right, to other neighbors' kids who just stay home and don't work. It works for a bit, but then it flares up again. Commenter 5. It's not certain that your mom fully absorbs all those teachings. You shouldn't jump to conclusions either. If it really bothers you that much, just talk to your mom about it. I know that Javanese culture doesn't encourage talking openly about things like this, but it's okay. The important thing is to calm yourself down first. Try to find polite words that your mom will accept. I don't know what kind of person your mom is, but on average, parents don't want to cause trouble for their children. Some even don't have money but don't want to tell their children. If you've communicated with her, but it turns out that your mom is of the same mind as the strict cleric who judges everything as black and white, then you can only pray, bro. Only God can change people's hearts. As long as your intentions are good, your methods are good, even if it's bitter in the middle. If you are patient, the end will be good too. Op response. I feel this one. She deliberately played the lecture to mock me. I'm quite familiar with the codes. I immediately reprimanded her. Don't watch that kind of thing. You'll just end up thinking negatively and overthinking things. She just nodded. She said he would wait until the lecture was over before closing YouTube. But I already know. In a few moments when I'm back at work, she will definitely hint again that she feels lonely without children at home. Commenter 5 response. Oh my gosh. Your mom is also a typical Javanese person? Passive-aggressive tactics? For me, this is the most annoying. When confronted, she tends to shrink and get offended. From my personal experience, there's one technique you can use, since the opponent is your own mom: pleading. Like other users' comments, confront her politely and gently when the situation arises. Mom, am I a disobedient child? According to this cleric, does that mean I am a disobedient child, Mom? Even though I've been trying to come home often, it's just that my financial situation doesn't allow it. I think I've helped you enough by giving you money, but I'm sorry, Mom, I can't come home often, in a pleading tone. Hopefully, your mom will feel sorry for you and won't tease you anymore. Other than that, I don't have any other advice except to pray and be patient. Good luck, bro. Op added edit to the post. After reading your comments, I tried to put my thoughts into words and figure out how my mom feels. Finally, I talked about my feelings, which aren't that different from hers. About how lonely it is to live far away from home, etc., and how I feel when my mom watches those videos. Even though I was crying and being dramatic, it seems like my mom understands. At least she won't think I'm going to leave her. Hopefully, she'll understand from now on. Thanks, guys, for your advice. Honestly, 1000%. I found more answers here than on other platforms.